the drop kit for the carrier bearing on the Tacoma back here. We're going to put this to bed. Well, good morning everybody. How y'all doing? Pretty good here, and welcome to the channel. Hey, today I'm going to talk about the drop kit for the carrier bearing on the Tacoma back here. We're going to put this to bed. I feel like I've been talking about it for weeks, and I probably have. Before we do that, don't forget to go down below, check out the links that I have set up for stuff, parts, mods, cleaning stuff, supplies, all kinds of stuff. Check that out, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. All right, what I'm going to talk about today, I did a video a while back showing the axle wrap in the rear of the Tacoma up there, and I did the whole video. This all started because I wanted to see if lifting the Tacoma, which I've done, it has a 3.2 ready lift on it, caused any issues in the rear end, where the shaft goes into the differential. And then I discovered there's a lot of axle wrap back there when I did the video. Check that out if you haven't. It's very interesting. But I thought maybe I had a problem, right? So I did the video. I started getting all kinds of comments and things. And then another YouTuber, Snail Trail 4x4, did a video on his stock Tacoma from about the same angle as mine, showing the rear end so we could see what his stock truck did. Did it have any axle wrap? How much did it move around? Well, it was very enlightening. And thank you to Snail Trail 4x4, by the way, for doing that video. But it was very enlightening because what I discovered from seeing his video as compared to mine was that they're almost identical. His stock truck has the same amount of axle wrap as mine does. Everything back there moves around pretty much the same way. So I'm pretty convinced that it's just inherent to the Tacoma. That's the way the Tacoma is. Nothing wrong with it. It's just the way it is. So not a big deal. So then I got to looking at the shaft itself, where the two parts of the shaft come together at the carrier bearing. Let me turn you around right back here just to give you a little refresher. It would be right here. This is the carrier bearing where the two shafts here, there you go, right there, come together. And if you notice, it's kind of a weird angle. It kind of goes up and then comes down, and it just looks a little funky to me. The untrained eye, of course. I'm no expert in carrier bearings, but it looked a little funky. So today, I was actually at the shop that did the lift. I wanted to talk to them a little bit about it, and excellent guys, by the way, there. Love that place. They do fantastic work. But I asked him about that. And he said, no, when they do a 3.2 lift, a 3-inch lift, 2-inch lift, whatever, he said they don't put that drop kit in unless there's an issue, because there never is an issue normally. And the issue would be if you get some wheel hop because of the different angle on the shaft, or any kind of vibration or anything back there, then they'll go ahead and put that drop kit on, which costs like nothing. There'll be a link at the bottom here. You guys can pick that up if you want. It's from Old Man Emu. But they'll put the drop kit on the carrier bearing to kind of even out the shaft a little bit. So I asked him, I said, to me, it's just an appearance thing. When I look under there, it looks a little funky, that union, that carrier bearing, where the two shafts meet, but I'm not having any problems, right? So he told me, if you're not having any trouble, I wouldn't do anything to it. He says, because it's possible that you do that, change the angle of the shaft a little bit, and now you're going to have trouble. Maybe, maybe not. He said, you could always put it on and see if you notice any difference. He said, but then in doing that, you take it off and you may have a problem after you do it. So the moral to the story here is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The shafts have to move, obviously. That's why they're designed that way. And obviously there's a tolerance and angle there. They don't all come out exactly the same, right? I mean, they're built by somewhat people, humans. So they're never going to be exactly perfect. There's tolerances in everything. So in the meantime, before I had gone and talked to the shop, I went ahead and ordered the part. The part is right here in this bag. And what you get, just so you see it here a little bit, it is from Old Man Emu. And it is a 4x4 suspension piece. Even though I don't have 4x4, it doesn't matter. Carrier bearing's the same. But it's simply 2 spacers. They're about 1/4 inch, 2 bolts, because you're going to have a little bit longer travel, if you will, to screw that bolt in because you're putting a spacer in there. And that's it. That's all it is. Costs under 30 bucks. So, like I said, if you're having an issue, you can pick one of these up, put it on yourself. It's not too difficult to do. One of my previous videos, I went over how to do that, but not too difficult. So, why would you do it? Why would you do it? Well, 2 reasons like I mentioned. One, you're getting a lot of wheel hop. And in talking to my guy at the shop today, said that's one of the symptoms, I guess, that things aren't aligned properly there, is when you first take off, you're going to get a kind of, you know, a kind of shuddery, hoppy kind of feeling. That's one. 2, you've got vibration. Vibration in the cab, I guess, how it feels. It feels like it's vibrating. I certainly don't have the wheel hop in mine. I've never had that issue, and I drive fairly spiritedly here and there, not all the time, but I certainly would have noticed it by now. I don't have that. As for the vibration, you know, I don't have a good point of reference in mind. I think I'm going to have to drive the truck again, and I'm going to have to pay extra special attention to what it feels like inside. You know, do I feel any kind of vibration? Do I feel anything to warrant going ahead and putting this bracket on? I don't know. I haven't noticed anything yet in mine. So I think at this point, we're going to leave it alone. If I need to, I have the kit. I mean, I can put it on. But for the short term, the time being, since I don't seem to have any of these symptoms that would warrant doing this, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Now, one other thing I'll mention, the reason I was at Truck Tech's, the place where I have my work done, is because I am looking at having the Tundra sitting out there lifted. So I asked him about that too, because obviously it's going to be the same scenario, right? I mean, it's the same kind of setup. Everything's bigger, but it's the same kind of setup, right? So I asked him about that. I said, you know, when you do this lift, do you put a drop kit on? I mean, is there any reason to put a drop kit on when you're going to do a lift on the Tundra? And he told me, he said, you know, the only time that they do it automatically, is when they're doing something like a 4 or 6 inch or something like that lift, because they are going to change the geometry or the angle of where those 2 shafts meet at the carrier bearing. He said in that case, they of course would go ahead and put the drop kit on. And that is one other thing I want to mention so that you're aware. I asked him specifically, in doing the lift with the Tacoma back here, did that change the angle or the geometry of where the 2 shafts meet at the carrier bearing? And he said, of course it does. It changes a little bit because you are lifting the truck, right? So it did change that angle just a little bit. Again, not enough to warrant doing anything more unless you have to. Now, I'll give the shop credit for this, because if they weren't upstanding, honest guys, you know, they could charge you to go ahead, put this this drop kit in there, charge you for the labor to do it, probably make another, I don't know, 100, 150 bucks on the deal as part of the deal. I mean, it takes labor to do it. They do charge you for the part, and there's no reason for them not to do it if they were dishonest. But what they're trying to do is save you a little bit of money and not put more parts in that you need and charge you more doing something you don't need necessarily. Doesn't mean that you won't down the road, and you can always go back and have it done later. So why screw with your shaft if you don't need to? If it isn't broke, don't fix it. Leave it alone. So that's the story. That's the final word for now on my Tacoma. I have the kit. It's sitting right here. I'm going to pay extra special attention when I'm out driving the truck around, just to see if indeed I do feel any kind of a vibration in it. You know, I do have a bit of a rougher ride anyway because of the more aggressive tires that I've put on. So, you know, it might be a little difficult to tell, but at this point, I don't believe I do. So we're going to leave it as is. And I guess this will be to be continued. I'll update you guys at some point in the future after I pay more attention. to the ride on the truck. As usual, appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget, please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time on the web. Have a great day. Bye.